Right, it's your buddy, it's your pal, Mike Messier, with the Renee Young problem. Now, I'm going to give Renee Young her credit, and I'm also going to give her a problem. Just like Dusty Rhodes had, the Dusty finish, not just like Dusty finish, not that epic, of course, because it's coming from a fan, an outsider, not the inside industry or whatever the fuck. But Renee Young, congratulations, you have a problem. And what is the Renee Young problem? It's her tonality, and it's not just her, but it's mostly her, and it goes to other people. I'm really thinking of Smackdown Live, which at one point was a big show on the network, and it was then canceled or removed from Vince or whatever the fuck. Why do I have an issue with Renee Young? Her tonality and the words that she uses on programs like Smackdown Live or whatever wrap-up show or interview show with the wrestlers at the table, you know what I'm talking about. Her tonality and her approach when she's interviewing these wrestlers often feels like, why are you wrestling each other? Why don't you like each other? Why do you have a conflict? Why are you doing this? If you really listen, and this occurred to me tonight, there's a certain approach or a certain word choice, and it's not just with Renee, but it's quite a bit with her. But it also goes over to the guys, like Daniel Bryan or Shane O'Mac. It seems to be a SmackDown issue. I'm sure it's the whole goddamn wrestling business or the WWE. I don't want to speak for the whole business. I'm just keeping this to WWE for the most part, but it might, be in other groups as well. Of a tonality with the announcers, these modern day announcers, like a Renee Young as an example, but she is guilty of this in my opinion, where the word choice is basically an expression of, why do you guys want to wrestle each other? Why do you want to beat this guy up? Sami Zayn, why did you move Kevin Owens out of the way and let Shane? Why would you do that? Usos, why would you attack your former friends, the New Day? Why would you do that? I can't believe it. You want a championship match? Why would you do such a thing? So if you compare that Renee Young problem with, say, a Mean Gene Okerlund 20, 30 years ago, or other great classic announcers, they were kind of hyping the matches. They were hyping the conflict. Gordon Solie, maybe with his matter-of-fact twang, with kind of like a newscaster, like a real legitimate newscaster. That's why he bought into Gordon Solie. Or Lance Russell, or great Lance Russell. But if you look at those old-time personalities who really were part of the show, bigger than life, and you compare that, and I like Renee Young. I don't know her personally, never met her. She seems like a nice enough person. I know she had her Pocahontas controversy with some costume or whatever the fuck. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's quite good at her job. I think she might just be the victim here of the preparation or the papers that she's been given, or maybe it's just my own thing where I perceive her as a very peaceful person, a person who is calming the situation. In that case, she might really excel in different ways. I don't know, but almost like a investigative journalist for wrestling. Like if you remember those Jim Ross, Mick Foley, or Jim Ross, Triple H, or even Jim Ross with Steve Austin at his house with a broken neck, going back to the Attitude Era, if you remember, you could send Renee Young on those behind-the-scenes reports, those interviews, to the wrestlers' homes or their training circulations or whatever the fuck. But I think when I see her on Talking Smack, and it's always this, or the pregame shows or whatever the fuck, she always has this kind of calming presence. And it's almost like, why are you guys wrestling? Why are you fighting? I don't know. I remember at one point they started a thing with Maurice and Dean Ambrose and The Miz and Renee, and I believe Maurice slapped Renee Young. And I don't know if that angle was ever fully come to fruition, because that was good. I like Maurice. I like The Miz as personalities. I think they actually get it. They do heel work that's convincing. I'm not sure what happened to Bo Dallas last week on Raw, why he wasn't there. Just as an aside, the last Raw that I saw, which had the reunion of the Shield and Garbanzo there, Carlito, not Carlito, I get these names confused. Carlisto, my apologies. defeating Enzo. I thought that was a pretty good Raw. I mean, I think people can say it was an average, but I thought it was very good. But basically, the Renee Young problem is this. I don't know if I fully explained this. A soothing presence which does not elicit an emotional response towards conflict. Renee Young has a calming presence, a let's mellow out, let's be friends presence, and I don't think that lends itself to professional wrestling being seen as a fight. It kind of waters it down. You have this beautiful, I mean, she is beautiful, and she's a very attractive woman, and that's not a judgment of negativity. It's just a statement of my opinion that she's attractive visually. That's why she's on the show. Let's face facts. She has a very, this would be my, you know, this would be your college girlfriend. This is the girl next door. This is the nice girl. But that does not necessarily go towards a fight, a conflict. A Mean Gene Okerlund, a Lance Russell, a Gordon Soley, Jim Ross. All those guys, you know, Paul Heyman, when he did commentary, or Jim Cornette, they had an edginess or a plain broadcaster guy thing that lent itself to conflict. Renee, the problem is, she is very nice, and she seems nice. And I noticed that, and it's not, I don't hope it's not a sexist thing, but maybe it is. But with some of these female announcers, and there's 4 or 5 of them that have come up over the years, and that's great, but they do have a calming presence, and I just don't know if it lends itself. And I guess there's a whole thing now with people investigating WWE and title shots or different verbiage that they've been using. Justin Roberts, the former ring announcer, said that they didn't want him to use the word his opponent because that's conflict. So it's strange. And I think that it's just something I'm talking about now. The Renee Young problem is an inherent niceness lends itself to a lack of conflict, which is not positive for a wrestling program. That's my opinion. You can tell me to fuck off. You can say I'm a sexist piece of shit. And hey, look, I'm alone on a fucking Friday goddamn night in Rhode Island. So yeah, you have a point. But I'll let you with that. You know my website and blah, blah, blah. And thanks for those that actually watch these videos. And you know, I appreciate it. You know, thanks for watching the videos. So I'm just not in a void talking to my goddamn self in a phone. Thanks for watching the videos. For those that don't, then I guess I got nothing to say to you, except maybe you'll watch them at some point. Who knows? We all live, we all die, that's it. And then you do things on YouTube, and then you do something else. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.